Well, we're back. This is Barry Burnett with Investing Insights with Barry Burnett here on Talk Radio 790 KABC, and we're talking with our spectacular guest tonight, David Aniel, who owns iEvict.net. That's iEvict.net. He is a landlord eviction specialist, and there's a reason that we have landlord eviction specialists, because there are situations that a landlord could never foresee, laws that change sporadically and without notice because they are ruled from the bench rather than the judiciary. You may not hear about it until it's way too late, until you've been smacked with a secondary lawsuit, especially in the city of Los Angeles, the People's Republic of Santa Monica, and all of the other communities within the sound of our voice and the stretches all over Southern California. So, David, we understand you're not an attorney. The service you own does not offer legal advice right now on the radio. What you're doing is giving information, and while you have numerous attorneys at your fingertips, every situation's different. We understand that this is just for informational purposes. And that being said, the landlord should always seek legal counsel on their own, and that can be with iEvict.net, correct?
Yes, we have attorneys in our office.
Okay, so some of the things that you found that have overwhelmed you or that have just really been wild, what have you seen?
One of our hoarder cases was a very nice, sweet, very much older lady. She had bought the building in her retirement to help her make some additional money for a return. The day of the lockout, I showed up because I had never seen this type of craziness that the woman had described to us, that we had put in paper and had successfully prosecuted the case. And when I got there, there was a large moving truck. Some church group that the tenant was affiliated with had a whole bunch of college kids loading up the truck with the garbage and the trash from this hoarder. And the landlord came out with an astonished look on her face, shaking her head, and she said, "You wouldn't believe this. I thought it was a one-bedroom apartment. It's a two-bedroom apartment." Oh, boy.
So and this hoarder situation's floor to ceiling, right?
Yes.
And you can hardly find a way through the piles to get anywhere. So she had no idea that she actually had rented this particular evicted tenant a two-bedroom instead of a one-bedroom.
That's correct.
Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man.
She bought it. She inherited this person.
She inherited the problem.
Right.
And it was probably a rent-control building anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, and there you go. Now, what else? What other insanity have you seen?
Lately, we've been seeing a lot of pot farms popping up, especially in the San Fernando Valley.
Oh, can you imagine?
And the landlords have a major problem with that because we do have conflicting state laws that says that you can have pot, you can buy pot, maybe, but growing pot under state and federal, the feds can still come and confiscate your property for allowing this to happen. And
if you have knowledge of it, then you can be culpable as a co-conspirator, and they can take your property, right?
And if you don't have knowledge of it, it's questionable, and they probably still can take it. We have to keep in mind that this is United States government versus
the little guy.
Yeah.
So they take it, they confiscate it under ICE and the various rules, and they confiscate it, and then you have the privilege of defending yourself with all of your background and material. So that's obvious why a landlord will never, ever, ever want to rent a property where they suspect or anticipate that it's going to be a pot farm, right?
And that's correct. And if it is a property that could even possibly be used for it, even though the tenants said they're going to use it for fixing cars or other type of industrial uses, you have to use due diligence and inspect your property now on a regular basis to protect your investment.
Okay, due diligence and inspection. Is there a law that anticipates or that prevents landlords from entry into, rent-controlled units to invest or to investigate or to check them out?
No, you can enter your property during reasonable business hours upon a written 24-hour notice.
Uh-huh.
It has to be in writing. It has a specified date and time. I always suggest to narrow it down to a 3-hour window.
Uh-huh.
Never walk in there alone. Always have a witness with you. Have cameras in your back pocket. You don't want to have the possibility that the tenant does something crazy and accuses you of doing something illegal or immoral or stealing something or battering the tenant.
Yeah, because accusations are much more powerful, and you can't unring a bell. Okay, so you were telling me earlier when we were in the green room, you were telling me about a scenario where somebody just absolutely did not want to go to a particular property. David, what was this situation where you said that one of your fellows was just absolutely petrified of a particular tenant?
He had inherited her, and every conversation that he had with her, she would scream at the top of her lungs, and he perceived her to be dangerous. I think that would be a polite word to use. And if his perception was correct or not didn't matter, because the possibility of her accusing him of beating her, of attempting to assault her, was a real possibility, because she was out of control. And what she was after, as it turned out in the long run, was relocation money. She wanted to move. She wanted him to pay for the move, and she didn't have money to move, but she wanted out of there. She really did want to move. So her anger was growing every month because he didn't offer her relocation money, so she simply was making life miserable. And 3 months after he sold the building, the new owner simply gave her a check, and she moved quietly.
So basically it was an extortion
attempt.
Yeah, but it was an attempt only. And it probably made his life miserable and gave him a lot of problems. So how do we resolve who is legally able to make a posting?
Anyone can post a notice. The landlord, anybody over 18 can make a posting.
Keywords over 18. So
Yes.
it has to be a legal adult.
Correct.
And any legal adult can post a notice on any property.
Correct. And they also should be able to make a very good witness in court. They have to present well.
Okay. So you don't want to hire somebody out of the day labor pool, and it's probably a good idea if you already know the type of tenant, if the person who's posting has some background or capability. It's not mandatory, but it's not a bad idea, right?
Yes, and our process servers are all registered, bonded, and insured, so that's goes one step beyond.
Oh, that's excellent. So I'm assuming that if you know you've got a crazy woman, that you would have an over 18 female make the posting to the extent that you could.
Yes, that's what he always did. He always sent a lady to the door, let it be his girlfriend or another lady.
Okay, so it took the physical assault aspect right off the table.
Correct.
So extortion denied, and he was able to sell his building, and somebody else just wrote a check and got her out.
Correct.
But I imagine that there are extraordinary situations with squatters who just break into houses and then present, as you were talking in the last segment, they present a false, fictitious document. How long does it take to get them out?
The first step would be a 30-day notice, because you have to terminate their tenancy at will, since the police did not want to just simply remove them.
Mm-hmm. But you don't even know their real names.
That's why it's a good idea, if you can, to get a good look at the document that they have.
Okay.
And then from there, you file the lawsuit, and that could go anywhere from 1 to 2 months, approximately.
Okay. And we'll come right back, because we're going to want to talk about how we get somebody out. The timetable, the phrasing, the frame of reference, the approximate cost, some of that stuff. Because every situation is different, and this isn't legal advice. You're just talking about the generals of the marketplace, correct?
Correct.
Okay. This is Investing Insights with Barry Burnett. We're on Talk Radio 790 KABC with David Aniel, iEvict.net. And we will be right back with more of the craziness of landlord evictions.